Hey, this is Nick, aka The Weiler here for the Deadly Operative Grunt Show.
The Deadly Operative Grunt Show! Oh, yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. On today's show, we're going to be talking about nostalgia and how it can be different for some. We're also going to be talking about For Honor. The beta just happened, and it's almost out on Valentine's Day. Are you getting your lover some hot, sweaty, slicing off heads? Well, let's find out on today's The Deadly Operative Grunt Show. Alright, so we're going to be talking about For Honor. It just had its beta, so you know me. Today with me is...
Kevin, aka Wicked Ninja 88.
Alright, so...
PSN.
Yes.
Xbox, I have a for gamer tag.
Yeah, it's fine.
Coondog.
Coondog. Okay.
Okay.
So you played the beta.
Yes.
And I've seen trailers. And
Yes.
I saw your video, obviously. So let's go through For Honor and what you think about it and all that. So first off, overall, just give us a little synopsis. What is it? Why the fuck should we care?
For Honor is MOBA-esque third-person / defense fighting all-out battle.
Okay. So I haven't heard of For Honor. Do I need to play the first 3 in order to...
No, you don't need the first 3 at all. For Honor.
Okay.
Which I don't know why they did the name that way. It just seems backwards. I don't know.
I guess they were just Left for Dead.
On the battlefield.
Oh. I saw the Call of Duty.
I have nothing now. After that,
We just came up with a new game.
Yeah. Game titles. So it's actually really, really good. The synopsis is there's 3 factions: the Vikings, the Knights, and the Samurai.
Samurai.
And there's 4 characters per faction that are available. I got on the website, checked it out. So in the beta, they offer you 3 characters per faction.
Oh, okay.
Well, they have an extra character per faction.
Okay.
That's going to be released when the full game comes out. Another little fun fact about it, an FF, because you guys like those, they did release in December that all of the maps and game modes will be free to everybody because they want to keep that open game, because it's going to be not very fun if you have something that your friend doesn't. Now, there's still a DLC and a season pass, which I think is going to constitute down to you get special released players, customizations, weapons, stuff like that. I think that's what that's going to focus around.
Right. That's interesting. That's a little confusing that there's a DLC, but then you're getting maps for free. Yeah. So, it will be interesting to know what does come. Because obviously there's like $100 version you can buy.
There is a $100 version. And I'm not sure if that's going to be like, you get like Battlefield where you get a couple days sooner or...
Well, right, but if you get the maps, who cares if you get it sooner? Like, I'm not going to pay money to get it sooner. I'm going to pay money for
buyer's
characters.
Choice. Right, that's in the buyer's choice. And after looking at it, I myself, I'm going to go home and I'm going to take a look at each purchase. Because I haven't even done that yet, actually seen what's in the packages.
Right.
I was just like, okay, this game I'm going to get. Price, we'll see whenever it comes time to buying it.
Yeah.
Having the option for the 3 factions, I think is awesome because it gives that ultra rivalry feel.
Okay.
If you and your friends all like Vikings, you're all Vikings.
Right.
Maybe one of your friends wants to be a rebel and he goes as a samurai or whatever. There's a playable sub-game within the game to where the more you battle and after each match you gain assets, and the assets allow you to add to your faction. So there's a line, kind of like on Planetside 2, where, there's the 3 factions and you try to conquer the map. Right. So over a playable time, 24 hours, you're progressing across this map, adding assets to either defend yourself or to attack an opposing team. And when you go above the menu selection, it actually tells you what the percentage is of how the balance is. So like maybe there'll be more knights that have put assets down, so there's a higher percentage that they'll win. So you add assets and it increases your percentage to where it knocks them down.
So, it kind of seems like there might be a balancing issue there, because
No.
if you have somebody who's just absolutely wrecking shit, and they put all their assets in there, and they just have them more... So what's the difference then?
It's not just you and your friends. It's everybody on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation consoles. Whatever faction you choose, your assets go towards that faction. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you're, down at the bottom of the map, if the Knights and if your faction isn't touching it, you can't place assets. You can only place assets where your faction is. So it's not just you and your friends. So it's on a ginormous scale.
Yeah.
So it's worldwide based. So if you have 30 people as Vikings on PC, 30 as Samurai, and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Each console has 30 players per faction playing, and they're adding their assets. Whoever's actually participating in the asset selection is going to help you increase your zone. So you eventually want to conquer the whole map. What you get at the end of the conquering, I don't know.
So yeah, what I want to know is what changes from match to match when you go, like, so let's say you add assets to this little segment and then you decide to attack it. You have a better chance of winning?
Now, the attacking is just a sub-menu text. It's not
so it's just a meta game.
It's a meta game,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
So
I'm
it's
thinking
just,
like the next match is going to be completely outnumbered because...
No, nothing like that. Yeah, you were totally safe on that aspect. It's a meta game. Okay. So it's a game within the game. Okay. So it's something that's just kind of fun, and you want to eventually make your faction the best. It's kind of like when they did Mortal Kombat X, how you chose which one you wanted to be a part of, and then they had the community events.
That makes sense, okay.
So it's like that, but it's on a planet-side type system in a sense.
Okay, so then do you get money like per day? Kind of like in Pokemon, if you have gyms that are yours, you get coins. Like, do you know if there's some kind of system like that?
You gain iron. It's considered iron.
Oh, okay.
You can gain it through that. You can gain iron through the matches themselves. There's different things that help you gain iron.
Okay.
Which iron is a necessity also if you're trying to upgrade an item. So say you unlock a new helm, and the helms all look different. It's actually got a great customizing menu. I mean, there's quite a bit you can do. You can, for your weapon, you don't just upgrade your blade. You also upgrade the hilt and the sheath and everything else. So, like, everything about it has a customization. Okay. And they do have different graphics. So I think that's going to be more opened up later on as the full game's released.
So with like the hilt, for instance, do you get like a perk that helps you draw the sword faster or something like that?
So one of the perks for like a weapon system is you can take more, you do better blocking damage. Okay. So if you block and you retaliate and hit them, it's going to do more damage. Okay. Another one will be like you gain revenge faster, or so it kind of jumps around, and there's different options that are available for it. So I really like that aspect.
And that's on your weapons?
That's on your weapons, okay, cool. But it also goes for your helm, your chest pieces, your shoulder pieces, your leg pieces. Everything kind of has a selectable option, so I do like that. And also within the customization menus for your characters, you can select whether you want to be a boy or girl. You can change the color of your clothes. Different chest pieces are going to unlock different types of shirts for you to wear or whatever. And if you like a certain way something looks, just start scrapping your other pieces and upgrade that item and make it better if you like the stats and the way it looks. So it's all up to the player.
That's cool.
So that's pretty much customization. There's also abilities that you can change and customize. And there's 4 abilities per character, and then each ability section has 3 unlockable ones. So so the first time you start playing, and then once you level your character up enough, it'll unlock another segment. So like the first one you get is you gain health per hero you kill. The next one, you may not gain health, but you can rush, and it makes you a faster sprinter. So it's kind of a neat little tick down, cool down system as well.
Okay, now is this kind of like a MOBA where throughout the match you're unlocking all these, or is it all together?
No, you're unlocking them as you go through the match and get more kills, and
so you do have like an ultimate.
Yes, you want to gain experience. You want to bloody up that blade. Mm-hmm. That's definitely what you want to do because it's going to help you progress in the game itself, or you're just going to start getting swamped. Mm-hmm. I mean, because they're unlocking their abilities, they're using their abilities on you. Like the samurais, they throw little smoke bombs at you and it stuns you, or like the Viking puts down a bear trap. Nice. There's another one where it puts a cooldown to where your enemy, if they're within that area of effect, it'll slow their ability down and make it to where they can't hit you as hard. Okay. So there's neat little abilities that help you in the match.
So let's talk about that. What are the differences, at least just like, let's say the base fighter on each team, what are like the differences between the races? Like, do the samurais have more or less armor and the Vikings are stronger? Is it something like that?
So the knights, typical, they're all armored out.
Right.
The
totally.
Vikings, they've got patchy, armor with fur, and the samurais have typical shogun armor.
Yeah, right.
They each have their own abilities, but to me, it doesn't all seem out of balance.
Right.
There's some characters that are way OP. Like the knights, they have a behemoth that's got a mega shield and a mace, and he's got an ability to shield rush you, and when he shield rush you, it can get spammed like crazy. And it kind of makes him a little overpowered because you can retaliate and block a rush, but I mean the timing has got to be impeccable, and it literally is up to the player and what your combinations do that make you effective as a player. I could take him out with any of the other characters, but it will depend on how well my skill has to be with that character to do it. I have to know its mechanics and systems and how fast he moves to roll and whatever. I need to know, like, if I want to fight him at a distance or up close. Okay. So it is strategic in that aspect. One of the characters that I also think is overpowered is this Japanese girl. She's got a javelin, but it's got poison blade. Ooh. So when she strikes you, it poisons you, and you start losing health. You don't want her to strike you, so you're going to want to defend, dodge, and when she's off balance, hit her with the strike. Yeah. Or kick her, or shove her, or whatever you got to do. Don't let her hit you, because she will dominate you. But each player is different in their own aspects. Like, I use a berserker who's got 2 axes. Nice. And he's fast, and he's on the go, and There's also an assassin for the knights. Her and the other player with the javelin I was talking about, they can only be females. You can't select them as a male character. On the other characters, you can choose male or female. Oh, okay. So that's a cool aspect. Interesting. So she's a dual wielder like me, but she's wicked fast.
She's wicked fast.
She's wicked fast. And then there's...
She's like a rogue.
Yes, exactly. And she's even got the cloak up with the head mask on. Yes, exactly. And she looks awesome. I think they did good with overall graphics and textures of the characters.
Right. So what I'm hearing is that the skills are what sets the races apart. Not really like, like the samurais have more armor, the Vikings have more strength. It's more that their skills maybe have more strength.
Exactly. And even if they do, it's not an overbalanced thing. It's
right. That's good.
If maybe the samurais have more armor, you may be a little bit better to strike, or the knights can hit harder, so the samurais may take more damage, but you can get in on the knights faster. If anything, it's like that. Okay. But it's not...
Which also seems very MOBA-like, because it's really about choosing the right people to go up against the right people, and then using.
And the thing is you don't get to see who they pick. You don't get to see who your team picks. It's all like once everybody picks, then everybody's character shows. So you're like, you get into a match and you're like, damn it, they have 2 behemoths and all we got is a couple ninjas. Oh God. Shit. Yeah. However, the ninja is quite versed in the skill of technique, so they're fast. Yeah. And your defense, if you've got a shield, you can do a pretty good defense, but don't let them change directions on you because you're dead in a minute. Right. Because they get those precision strikes. When you're a behemoth, just fucking wail on them. Right. So the battle aspect is so enthralling because it literally you feel like the character you're playing is what you need to do. Everything seems like it's put into a shoe, and it's the Cinderella shoe. Mm-hmm. No matter what character I've played, I haven't been like, well, I really don't like it. I'm like, oh, I could play as this character, but I just like the way he feels and I like his aesthetics better, so that's what makes me choose it. Okay. Not because he is better, but because I just enjoy that character. I like the graphics of him better than anything else. Mm-hmm. But they're all, when you get to playing them, you're just like, oh yeah, I love this guy. He can do this and this, and you get into what they can do. And then once you progress through the abilities, you really start to feel like, okay, that's how you kind of weave through who you want. Right. There hasn't been an enemy I don't like to fight. I like to fight everybody because, like I said, each character does have their own stance and way of striking you, but you know it's somebody else doing that, and you know that it's kind of like a battle of the mind. Okay, he's defending heavy on the left. Okay, so I'm going to pretend to do an up strike, get him to block up there, and then swipe on the side he keeps defending just to throw him off. You can pretend like you're going to strike, get him to block, and then break their block by shoving them with square, and then get your strike in. So it's all about strategy.
So then how does that work? How can you pretend?
So when you're choosing like up, right, or left to choose your stance, it shows them what stance you're in.
Okay.
Because they see a little arrow system on their map or on their screen. You can see theirs too. So that's how you know which direction they are. When they're about ready to strike, it starts to flash red.
Okay.
So it's a time system. You have to pinpoint and get that. So when they're flash, hit yours as quick as you can, because then you can parry it. We just found that out today, Honda. We were going through the training a little bit earlier, and we were like, oh, that's how you break that.
Oh, okay.
So there's still some things that are like, I'm still learning, and I like that because it's pretty well scripted. They scripted the game great.
Okay, so what you mean is you could pretend to go up, so you
yeah,
hold
so
it up.
You get it up, and then you pretend like you're getting ready to strike, and as you strike, say you roll. So you go to strike, and then you double tap X, and you can prevent your attack from happening by dodging and rolling. You pop back up, and then you slam into them because they're still in that blocked formation.
Okay.
So it's quick based. Cool. I mean, battle is fast paced.
How do you slash them?
So R1 on a PlayStation controller is your light attack. That's your just ya. And then R2 is your full on out haymakers and
okay, so kind of like Dark Souls.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you can combo them. R1, R2, R1, R2.
Right.
And they combo together. And then striking, when they're striking, it prevents there's like a parry system in there, so you can defend that block. Or if you don't strike and you just hold up and block their attack, they may do a heavy attack and you block it perfectly, so it staggers them. They're like, shit, and then you take your strike or you charge at them.
Okay.
Or if you're low on health, run. Get to your objective area and regain health. Now in 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2 battling, there's not objectives to gain health from, so when your health is low, you're low. Yeah. Hope you can win.
Right.
It's hard. I have gotten all the way down to my last bar of health and ended up winning a match just out of sheer, like one guy knocked off the ledge and the other guy got him with an execution, so I was like, yes!
Nice.
Executions are, and the thing is, it is a graphic game.
Right.
Blood, gash wounds, heads being cut off. It's graphic. For a beta, I actually am quite impressed with how detailed it is. I mean, it's got good textures for a beta.
Right, yeah.
And I like that.
So what's your favorite game mode and kind of explain...
Dominion.
Okay, so then kind of explain what is
Dominion is 4 versus 4.
Okay.
And it's kind of like if you play Battlefield Conquest. There's 3 objectives. Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Alpha and Charlie are usually not manned by anybody, and it's up to the hero to capture those 2 objectives. Whereas Bravo, there's minions, or pawns, if you will. And the pawns are AI-based miniature, not miniature knights, but they're like your standard issue soldier.
They're the farmers that you got to come fight your war for
exactly, you. Exactly. I'll let you farm on my land, but you must fight in battle. And the cool thing about it, as a hero, when you go in there and you have enemy pawns coming at you, you just slaughter them.
Yeah.
Like, they can kill you, they can hurt you, they do hurt you, and when they gang up on you, it sucks, but you just start slashing and hacking, and the way the camera can roll with the thumbstick, it's kind of neat because it adds interesting angles as you're like running up a shield and slashing down on somebody. It looks really good. That's my favorite game mode because it's about capturing the objectives and fighting heroes while going with the minions.
So that would be the most MOBA-esque mode.
Yes, so far. But there's a bunch of game modes that are going to be released. There's I can't remember what they were called. There's Exhibition, there's Dominion, there's 1v1, 2v2.
And those are just like fights, like, begin! And then you just go,
1v1 and 2v2 is where you go up. Well, you don't always want to do that because it uses the maps of the conquest. So, but it'll just put you in a certain area. So, one map, it shows me and a guy, and we have to fight on a bridge that's got no railings. So if he hits me too hard, I'm going off. If I hit him too hard, he's going off. Or I can shove him and he goes off and they die. It's awesome. Oh, the other really cool thing graphically is there's environmental changes.
Cool.
Fog, rain, night, day.
Oh, okay.
Snow.
So kind of like the Frostbite engine.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So like I get into a match and say it's the same map and I play the same map 3 times. One of the times it may be nighttime and raining. Another time it may be daytime and snowy. And the other time it's just foggy.
That's
so
fucking
I
awesome.
really, really love that because it adds different lighting effects to battle. So blood looks differently, dirt looks differently.
Oh yeah, blood in the snow.
Oh, it looks really good. And
Nice.
and your characters show battle progression.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been like taking battle and then going healing and taking battle, you will have a huge gash across your chest with blood coming out. It's awesome.
So
It's-
kind of like back in the day of Fable, like every time you died, you'd show up with a new scar.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, kind of. You will get battle wounds, and it's really I just love that feature. To me, it's like I said, it draws you into the game. The game's not going to be for everybody because it's so strategic based.
Right.
You got to be able to adapt yourself to warfare in order to play it. But other than that, so far, I mean, with me, it's been like a 2 thumbs up all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play 1 versus 1 and have just as much fun on that as I do Dominion. I just like Dominion because of how big and complex it is.
Right, yeah.
Because you're down there clearing out the pawns,
Right.
trying to push your minions forward on the front line so you can capture B. And then all of a sudden you're like, shit, they just took A and C from me. So you and your buddy take off to A, and you may come across 1, 2, or 3 enemies. 1 versus 3, you're going to die.
No shit.
You cannot just run away.
Yeah, right.
I tried. I actually, on my video, I tried it. And I'm like, oh, no, they spoiled my plans. Like, it was just really cool. I was fighting a samurai, I ran around a statue. When I came around, I was like, I tricked you. Well, he caught on to my plan, so he came at me and we started to fight. And the next thing I know, 2 of his buddies come up behind me and I'm like, no! You're like,
Clever girl.
you figured. So, I mean, it really can suck you in. You start feeling this just like, yeah. And then when you get a kill, so like sometimes you just strike them and like you just hit them the right way to where they die, or you get that final connected hit.
Yeah.
So where your blade will stick into them and you get a option, square or triangle, and you do a different execution.
Nice.
For 5,000 iron, you can buy another execution, which is way badass. So you like beat them up, and then they're like staggering. You put your axes behind their head, and you put your foot on their chest, and you rip their head off.
Nice.
I'm like, ew. It's brutal.
And then obviously, yeah, they'll have different ones for like the different races.
Every race, every
Nice.
character has their own execution. 2 different. Actually, they each have their own 3 different types of executions.
Nice.
Not one character has a similar execution.
Nice.
One of my favorite Viking characters, he has a shield and a sword. He comes up, whoop, head gone. It's fucking great. It's fucking awesome. He's Bartok.
Bartok. Okay, so I mean we've gone over a lot. I mean, we know what else we have.
I mean, other than just watching the footage, we're putting some up now, obviously, and you're gonna see what it's like. It is a hard game. It is complex. The biggest issue so far that everybody on the forums and servers are having is that it's a peer-to-peer server.
Oh, okay.
So that's presenting it. If anything, I haven't on the forums. I mean, people are complaining about lag, but that could be internet based. I mean,
right.
if you've got
It
a
could
low
be either
signal,
the host or them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, I've gotten into a match with a host who had a lower signal, but it didn't lag the server out to where the match was glitchy.
Oh, that's
they
good.
were, but the match wasn't. Everything else was sturdy. So I enjoyed that. That was like, okay. Well, not even that. I've never actually. I don't think I've experienced a glitchy character. Really,
No,
it might have just been skill. But I mean, I suck. So shit the cack. So so far it hasn't presented an issue for me. But a lot of people are being broke on that because if a server's having a bad ping, it could present an issue for lag or glitch.
Right, and I think how competitive this will become, I would imagine they'll have dedicated servers down. Like, if they're going to have a straight-up ranked mode, I would think they would have to have dedicated.
You would need it, especially if you're going to be doing esport material.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you look at the structure of the maps, 4v4, that's 8 people. That is esport material.
Yeah.
And the battle system and everything, when you play the game, you're just like, oh, yeah, this is esport 100%. It's everything in esport should be.
Cool.
So far, I haven't run into any lag issues. Like, I've gotten into a 1v1 to where the character backed out or, like, maybe they lagged out.
Yeah, right.
And then it puts me, it's like, okay, not enough players for this. One time I got in, a guy backed out immediately, and it did give me a bot. It just put me into the 1 versus AI, but that was the only time it did that.
Okay.
2v2, it just adds a bot. And then 4v4, it just adds a bot, and then mid-match, people will jump in, and they're like, oh shit, we're losing, let's go. So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple more questions then.
Okay.
So I think, first off, to figure out what it's worth.
Sure.
So, first off, it's coming out on February 14th.
Yep.
So, that's February. Another really big one, at least for us Sony guys, is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes.
So, if you had to choose, you could only buy one in February, which might be a lot of people's, situation. What would you buy? Would you buy Robot Dinosaurs or this awesome multiplayer experience?
Well, now you just made it unfair. They're awesome robot dinosaurs.
Awesome robot dinosaurs.
And awesome.
Set in the future. You're a caveman, but yet you have explosive arrows.
Right.
You can take down a huge T-Rex
Yes.
thing. Or slashy.
Well, now you just did it again. So no, actually, it all depends on the player. It all depends on the buyer, because you're looking at two separate styles of gaming.
Okay, so put yourself in each shoes and explain why one or the other would be better.
Okay, I'm going to start off with this. For myself, I'm leaning towards the multiplayer game.
Okay.
In the aspect that we've had a lot of single-player story games come out recently involving...
Name 17. I'm just kidding, go on.
Alabama, Alaska, California. But like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy 15, they're also... it is Kingdom Hearts coming out soon, I believe, soonish. So, but there's just been a lot of story games that come out recently. And there's been a lot of shooters and explosive games. Though there are explosions on For Honor, they're not like big, giant, massive.
They're just catapults.
They're just catapults. And there's maybe you have like a trap grenade or something, but nothing super heavy.
Okay.
Where it's like, boom! And I'm actually enjoying the step away from the guns and explosions. I'm kind of enjoying that step back into full-out warfare.
But so it's something different
from what we've been
like
receiving.
Robot Dinosaurs, but you play with other people.
Robot Dinosaurs is different, and that's what I mean. Robot Dinosaurs is definitely different, but it's...
You can obviously see where I stand, but obviously I haven't played the game, so I don't want to pass judgment on that.
It's something that's worth trying. And I will get Robot Dinosaurs.
Oh, yes, you will.
I will definitely get Robot Dinosaurs, but I think for my buy of the month of February, it's the multiplayer.
Okay.
Because it's so different in a multiplayer. It's something that's
a good point, yeah.
I feel really good about being team generated. I actually got into a socialized event with a guy to where we were actually using our mics and communicating, and the battle system was way better when you can communicate.
Definitely.
It actually brought an extra style of excitement to it, because it's like, we started a match and I'm like, win it for the pigs, and he's like, the pigs shall be revenged. So he made it more fun by adding that friendship to it, and he became my friend. He's now my friend in my playlist. You'll meet him. He's a nice guy. He's from Canada.
Yeah, I don't want.
He's gonna bring bacon.
Oh yeah, Canadian bacon.
You like bacon? No, that's just fucking ham.
Okay. So then another question then, still on the same type of topic.
Sure.
Okay. Let's say you can only buy one video game for the quarter. Ooh. So we're talking until March. We're talking Wildlands.
Oh.
Do you get Ghost Recon Wildlands or do you get For Honor? You can only buy one of them for the entire quarter. So you can't buy the other one until the second quarter, so April. So what would you... It's a good one.
I haven't done a beta for Wildlands. I just know what they've told me.
Yeah.
They've just given me what to expect. At that point, I would probably wait to purchase a video game until Wildlands is released, do my research, and then make my opinion off that. Because Wildlands, from what's projected for Wildlands, it's going to be in friggin' tense.
Oh, yeah.
Like camping.
Yeah, intense. Just a couple of them in a circle.
Right. Friends having beers and stuff. Sitting by the fire naked.
Good old dice.
Just dicks out.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding. That's inappropriate. Oh, so I mean that
dicks aren't.
There's a restaurant in Washington called Dick's. I could have been talking about them. They're so good. They have really good burgers.
Polish sausage.
Oh, we're inappropriate.
So, back on topic.
Nope, it's not.
So, I think you've made a believer out of me. So,
Good.
I mean, I definitely want to try it out and at least.
Let's go. Take me in the room.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's go try. We're gonna try it out after this.
I'll be back in like 10 minutes.
But you definitely convinced me that I at least want to try it out. You've done that. I think the main thing that you've kind of already touched on it. I think the main thing we can agree on is whether or not it will have the wings to fly. Because unfortunately, in 2016, what was the number one selling video game? Call of Duty.
Well, was it the number one?
It was number one.
I know it was in the top 10.
It was number one, and
So
of
was
course,
FIFA. Okay, FIFA's in every year. How is FIFA in every year? I guess it's a good game. I've talked to people. They're like, FIFA's pretty damn good.
Because it's fucking intense football association.
Is it wicked fucking intense?
We fuck. We fuck.
We fuck you.
Ew. So anyways, so I mean that's one of the main things, and just watching the game, I mean, like, I could see myself watching it as an esport. You've already kind of touched on that as well, but unfortunately the one thing that it's going to kill it or make it thrive is the community.
Yes.
And
we gotta come together.
So what was your overall, I mean, obviously it's a very short time and it's only the beta, but what was your kind of feel about people's reaction to the game?
There was actually, I mean, once people were off work and like the time situation kind of evened out, it seemed like there were more and more and more matches coming out.
Good.
From the feel of the forums, people are like, oh, the peer-to-peer is going to piss me off. But then they also praise the game. They're like, it's such a good game. They're like, it's really, really good. The peer-to-peer is what's going to make or break it. Either they have to find a way to make the peer-to-peer a flawless system, which it's peer-to-peer. It's going to be difficult to do. Not impossible, but difficult. You've got to make sure to have that right bleed of like, okay, if somebody does do this or somebody has a bad ping, what do we do?
Right.
You know, do we kick that person? How do we make that system work? So it's all up to the developers on that aspect.
Right.
Peer-to-peer will be the make or break, but from everybody else's response, they're like, it's beautiful, it's awesome, it's enthralling, you're into it, you're in the battle, you feel gritty, there's blood everywhere. I mean, it's just, the community loves the way the game feels and plays. Of course, other people are complaining about OP characters with their blood or their poison blades. And
right, which is what a beta is for.
And exactly, they want to get the feel, they want the community to come together and tell them what they need to fix.
Okay.
And honestly, if you got enough of the community saying fix peer-to-peer, it might be smart to fix it. Just saying. Ubisoft, just saying. Ubisoft. Oh, Ubisoft!
That's one thing you don't want to say on day night.
Never, ever.
Alright, so that's it. I hope that it's going to do well. We're going to try to play it on day one and get into a couple matches, so see if you can join us. Obviously, I am the Weiler. He is
Wicked Ninja 88.
So make sure to look us up on For Honor on the PlayStation 4. Have you played the beta? What did you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. Up next, we're going to have a little talk about nostalgia, so make sure to join us for that.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, this is Nick from the Deadly Operative Grunts show, and when I want a place to go hang out, drink some beer, play some old school arcade games, I go to Spacebar Arcade in downtown Boise. Check them out, and don't forget to tell them that the Deadly Operative Grunts sent you.
Damn.
Alright, Hey, thank you for sticking with us. Now we're going to talk a little bit about nostalgia and how it's different for everybody. So obviously we still have Kevin, and then who joined us?
Doug. Freshness.
So everybody has a different nostalgic. So when I'm talking about nostalgia, what does your mind first go to?
My very first console, which was the Sega Genesis.
Yeah. Okay.
And that we played stuff like Booger Man.
Nice.
We played Two Crude Dudes, which at the time we couldn't read well, so it was Two Crud Duds. That's what we called it. And then one day I was looking it up and I'm like, oh man, I wonder if there's any old Two Crud Duds out there. I'm like, Two Crud Duds. I'm like, it's not bringing up anything. It was Two Crude Dudes. It was a fun game. But the Sega Genesis was our first console. We did have a Nintendo at one point. Played some Mario, so that, and we had the brick Nintendo. So, we went from a Sega Genesis to a brick Nintendo.
Oh, really? So you went kind of backwards?
Well, we were poor, and it kind of just came as it went, and then we would run out of money for the family, so Mom and Dad would pawn our stuff because we weren't important. But we had shoes!
Yay!
So,
your fate.
There was that, but we had a Sega Genesis for a while, and if we did lose it, it wasn't gone for a long time. Our brothers would rebuy one or whatever, because, they did whatever they did. But
so would the Sega be the same as, is that what got you really hooked on phonics?
Yeah. Other than actually taking hooked on phonics as a child.
Right.
Yes, which I did.
I read well.
Hooked it on phonics working for me. So It started my gaming career. I mean, other than having arcade. Actually, my earliest memory of a video game was Asteroids.
Oh, okay.
And the reason is my dad was a mechanic, and he did a job for a guy that owned some company, and he's like, well, here, I'll give you an arcade game. So they tricked it out to where you didn't need quarters and set it on our front porch. So literally, all summer long, I was on my front porch playing Asteroids.
Now, you got all the high scores. Did you name them dirty stuff?
I couldn't spell, so it was stuff like Two Crud Duds. No, it was there was another one I remember for the Sega that when I was a kid and you were like a cave baby, like a caveman baby.
Okay. I know I can see it, but I don't know what it's called.
Super colorful game, very fun, and of course, none other than the infamous hardest game in the world, The Lion King.
Oh God! Right.
Get past the third level, I dare you.
Oh, there's somebody out there. You have thrown down the gauntlet.
You know what sucked about gaming back then, though?
What?
There were no save cards. You left your system on for 6 days straight. I gotta get past this boss.
It's melted into your carpet.
Yeah, Mom, every time Mom would come in, clean your room, stop turning off my console, Mom!
You're wasting a lick of
And you're supposed to leave the vacuum in here, and the lotion!
Anyway.
And maybe a scent.
Why do you need the lotion if you have the vacuum?
It gets dry.
Sucking it dry. Cuz.
Why?
Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so what would you say is, if you could get it down to a video game, what would you say is the video game that got
Booger
you?
Man.
Thank you. That got you obsessed.
Booger Man.
So that's your first. I'm talking obsessed, not just I like video games, but obsessed.
Booger Man.
Booger Man. Nice.
Booger Man. He was so cool. Better than Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
He was Booger Man.
Nice.
And I'm a boy. Boogers.
Yeah, boogers.
Boogers. He likes booger. And actually,
farts,
we
man.
did and fart. He did fart. He did. Yeah, that was the game.
Nice.
Hours and hours of flinging boogers and pooting at people.
Nice.
It was a fun game. That would be my nostalgia game.
Okay.
Yeah, Booger Man.
Okay, so Doug, what would be when I talk about nostalgia? What's the first kind of thing that comes to your mind? Nintendo, Sega, Atari. You just Pong.
No. He was back in the day. Tic-tac-toe.
Yeah. It was kick the can, I believe.
Tiger, we push a wooden stick down the hole.
Yeah. It was stickball.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to play a game of stickball?
Which actually is basically just inner city baseball.
Pong.
Pong? That would be your nostalgia?
No. Like ball. Pong.
Oh, yeah.
Stickball. Okay, so when I talk about nostalgia, what do you first think of?
The
Marvel's
very first think of, I guess it would have to be the game and system I played, which was Mystic Quest. I don't know if you've heard of that. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On the Super Nintendo, all the way back in Louisiana. So
Okay.
shoot, that was when I went to see him when I was 6.
Okay.
So this is before we even had a Nintendo or anything at home.
Yeah.
Now, was that the one that had wasn't that like one of the first appearances of the little miniature Magic Man?
Little miniature
With the
man.
straw hat.
With the straw hat and...
Oh no, that would be Final Fantasy 1.
Was that his first?
Yeah.
No.
Final Fantasy
Oh, I
1
didn't know he was back.
He's OG, motherfucker.
He is OG. So was the Knight, apparently. I didn't realize the Knight was that OG, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that one, that was compared to Final Fantasy standards today, that is still the worst Final Fantasy game in my opinion of all time.
Really?
And it's one of the earliest.
I think
ones.
12.
Because it was the only one that was Americanized, I guess you would say, because it was an American company that made that one.
So it
compared to
wasn't
all
the
the
original
rest.
like Famicom or whatever?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And it came out to be the worst one.
Yeah.
They tried to do an RPG.
Can't make
puzzles.
good video games.
Well, not back then, no.
Yeah. So what would you say you mainly first got into playing, other than that?
What made me get into playing?
Yeah.
That would have to be, well, because during that same time, I also played Final Fantasy 3 and 2.
Okay.
And that's what it was. It's
So
I'm
you're
a Final Fantasy boy.
Old school
so
RPG.
You're
Yeah.
heavy set on your RPG ways.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And even goes throughout my entire year, or my entire life.
Even now, I mean, you play more RPGs, I think, in comparison to like multiplayers and stuff like that. I mean,
I still enjoy a good multiplayer, but
Yeah.
yeah, but
It's
I mean,
always-
typically,
always
if you're online,
RPG.
we'll see it as an RPG.
yeah.
Which
I know.
the thing is RPGs aren't bad. I mean, they've got the grayed out, quality aspect. And back in the day, RPGs were brutal. I mean, I could understand why that would be your nostalgia, because those games would get you invested for long periods of time.
Yeah. Well, that's why, I always enjoyed them.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, mine, one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about this is because, like, mine always seems to be different from people my age. Perfect example, me and Kevin are the same age, but my nostalgia is Crash Bandicoot. It's Wipeout 3. That's when we got our PlayStation. I think that was the first one I ever played, was Wipeout 3. And so, but anybody I talk to my age, they're nostalgic about Mario. They're nostalgic about Zelda and stuff like that. And for me, I just never really connected to that. And I think it's always because I played Nintendo, I played Super Nintendo, but it was always over at somebody else's house. So I was enjoying it on their terms. I have very fond memories of playing Turtles in Time. Probably one of the best games of all time. And I really have good nostalgic feelings about that. But when I think nostalgia and I think about what I'm really excited for and what I wish we could get back to, I don't think about, I can't wait to jump on a mushroom and get big. I think I can't wait to get that Uka Uka. I can't wait to shoot that zombie in the face as I, go around my tank controls. Like, that's what I think about when I think nostalgia. And so I just thought it was really...
Resident Evil 1
I know.
on PlayStation.
My very first one was Resident Evil 2.
That was good.
2. And then obviously Nemesis very shortly after, because by the time we got it... But that's the thing, is that my gaming really didn't start... I mean, how old would I have been when we got the PlayStation? I would have been like...
Around 9, 10?
Maybe 10 or 11, I want to say. I was at least double digits.
14. when we got the PlayStation.
Yeah. So I think even you had an N64, but it was yours. And we played Smash all the time, and I even played Mario 64, but it wasn't mine. I didn't play it on a constant basis. So even though I have all these memories about Nintendo, I just didn't ever really like that. Then the PlayStation was my first one. Obviously it was ours, but I was always on it. I was always playing it.
I had a Super at that time anyway, so it was always, you were always out playing on the Sony while I was playing my favorite console. The Sony.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's just interesting, and that's just because of that time in my life. You know, like I said, I played plenty of the other games, but for some reason, it just really spoke to me. I think playing a game like Crash Bandicoot, that was the first time, I saw the progression, because even though I had played. Like Smash, for instance, it was still kind of, it was 2D, even though it was 3D. And that was kind of the first time I really started getting into it, was like, okay, here's this 3D world that I get to be a part of, and I'm not just moving from side to side. I have to move up and down, and I have to...
You actually understood the concept of progression in video games. Absolutely.
Definitely.
And I think that's what did it with me and Boogerman, was I think that was about the time that I started understanding, there's an actual objective. There's something that I'm working for, and I'm not just here to flick boogers at people.
Right.
But I mean, and I get that, especially with the PlayStation, because you're absolutely right. Crash Bandicoot was the ultimate progression game. You could run through the same level a couple times, but depending on how you ran it would really depend on what you got.
Because you had your crystals, which those are obviously super hard to miss. I don't know how you would miss it. Then you have your gems. You have to get all the boxes and stuff like that. But then not even that, but my Mario Kart is Crash Team Racing. That's that's my kart racer. My quintessential kart racer is the very first CTR. And I mean, that's just because, that's just what I played, And so, when I think nostalgia, I think PlayStation. So when I say I'm a Sony fan, it's like, I'm a fucking Sony fan.
Do you remember getting demo disc from Taco Bell?
Oh my god!
And it had like 30. Yes,
I had like fucking 30 of them.
But then there was always the hidden menu, which if you tap R1 or L1, you would get the menu, the little hidden games.
Right?
There were so many good games in those. I can't remember the name, but it was on one of the hidden menus. I think it was behind Extreme, the game where you a bike or a skateboard or a rollerblader, and then behind it was this game where there was 4 characters, a big behemoth guy, there was a skinny girl, and there was a gunning character and another guy. But it was all survival based, and they would just be waves of enemies coming in, and you just shoot them, and it was third person. I wish I could remember the name of the game. It was so fun. Parappa the Rapper. That's where I first tried Parappa the Rapper.
Was the demo.
Left, right, kick, punch. I mean, it was just... So, I mean, in a nostalgia aspect, PlayStation is just as high as my Sega, because, I mean, we kind of had them in the same time frame.
Yeah.
But I didn't really start caring about games until the Sega. I think that's why I put that where it is. But with PlayStation, even in our age group, being where you are, I mean, we played Nintendo, but that's not where it all started for me. That's not where the passion grew. That was here's your introduction course, now here's what you really get.
Right.
And that's, I think, what really did it. Tomb Raider, that was complex for a 10-year-old.
Right.
I mean, even now, it's complex for a 10-year-old.
And I mean, Zelda is good, and I've played that, but my Zelda was Brave Fencer Musashi.
Ooh!
That's to me, it's a better quality game.
Oh, yeah.
And it sucks that they only made, one copy? Well...
They made a sequel, it was on the PlayStation 2, but it was only there by name. I don't even think it was called Brave Fencer Musashi, it was just called Musashi and subtitle.
Yeah, I think it was.
So it was the same, it was cel-shaded, so it looked really cool. If there was one... now that they've done, they're doing Parappa the Rapper, they're bringing that back. They're bringing back the Insane trilogy for Crash Bandicoot. If I had one more that I would really love them to get back to, it's Brave Fencer Musashi. If they did an HD, gave it the same treatment as the Insane trilogy, oh my god.
What about Ninja Gaiden? Would you want to see a new Ninja?
See, that's
They're
Nintendo.
on Xbox, actually.
Was that Xbox and Nintendo?
Well, Nintendo started it, and then Xbox took over a little bit.
I thought
PlayStation.
maybe PlayStation had their own one, and I'm just confusing the name. I think PlayStation had one like that, though. I can't remember what the name of it was.
You know what game I want them to bring back, especially for like an esport? Bushido Blade.
Oh yeah.
Never played Bushido Blade.
Yeah, it was a super intense. Think For Honor. I mean, while we're on that subject, For Honor, one hit is all it took. One hit, you're fucking dead. So it's a fighting game, and it's
where you don't get hit.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, I remember, especially like me and you, like we would go through like round after round. We'd go through like 10 rounds in like a minute because like we'd just be sitting there. We'd be like going towards each other, and then one of us would just whoosh, and done. Splurt.
Nice.
Freaking awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, other games had like Mortal Kombat and stuff. One of the best fighting games for that my memory of PlayStation, Tekken.
See, that's my jam. I don't like fighter games nowadays, and here's why. Here's my reasoning. Very first fighter game, at least obviously from the PlayStation perspective, I think I played Mortal Kombat, and so I dabbled in that. But the first one I played was Tekken 2.
Tekken 2. Yeah.
And now in Tekken 2, and most of the Tekkens on the PlayStation 1 at least, every time you fought through the entire like ladder, your end character would be like your rival. And so when you play and you beat him and then you beat the boss battle, you unlock that character.
Yep.
And then you do it with everybody and you unlock the big demon looking dude.
Yeah. But see, there was also the little side stuff to that. So like when you would unlock a character, you actually would get a story behind them. And I always loved those stories. I think I watched the Law one, I don't know how many 100 times.
Yeah.
Just the character was cool.
And so the thing that I don't like about fighting games now is that's what I'm comparing it to. Nowadays, like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, everybody's unlocked. And it's for the sake of fairness. I'm like, no, give me the chance to go through and unlock. That's the fun of it.
That's the progression. You want to keep the progression. You don't want to just, hey, run through this. Oh wait, you don't have to run. Just step across it because it's already done for you.
Yeah, it's already done for you. Why go through it if there's nothing pulling?
I mean, Mortal Kombat has the crypt system.
I mean, yay. But at least Mortal Kombat. Now, the defense I'll give to Mortal Kombat is they at least do have a story.
Yeah.
And it's cheesy and it's like B-movie material, but at least it freaking tries. Whereas there's other games like Street Fighter, the most recent one, had no arcade mode in the very beginning. So it was literally just a multiplayer beta that you had to pay $60 fucking for.
No.
Yeah.
Shit, no.
And there's a lot of things. They got so much flack for it. And like even the creators after a couple months are like, oh, I'm so sorry. they
Capcom.
Yeah.
Capcom's always they're always fucking something up or something.
Yeah.
Up.
I'm nostalgic for the days where there was no such thing as a DLC. DLC stood for Dick Sucking Lips. Oh wait, that's DSL. Dick Licks Cunt.
Whoa!
But anyways, there were no DLCs. You had your game, and that was it. And the funny thing is that, like Street Fighter, for instance, how many versions of Street Fighter, like the Ultra Omega XLs,
Yeah.
Double XL, Ultra Omega XL, Double L.
right?
Street Fighter 2.
The reason they did that is because they didn't have DLCs, but they wanted to keep adding characters.
Yeah.
So you'd get the Ultra Omega, and that would have 2 extra characters. You get the Ultra Omega XL, you'd have 4 extra. So
The games back in the day were like $20, $30.
yeah,
Not 60, 100, 120.
yeah.
I'm sorry, a 120 price tag on a video game today is like, you better be fucking sucking my dick.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
gotta
and
be
now
giving
with
me
Trump,
something,
with all the import taxes he's going to have, there's a good chance video game prices are going to go up.
Oh, really?
So-
No.
well,
Thanks,
'cause
Trump!
most games are imported.
Yep. Most
Yeah,
of the good
makes
ones
sense.
are Japanese.
Japanese.
Or even like up in Canada, made in Montreal, or there's a couple of really good ones in Europe. So yeah.
It could be a real big issue.
So you can only buy American video
Yes,
games.
American video game, which will create an interesting market. You know,
It could corner it.
It could, because if for instance we want to play Battlefield, that's made here. Well, parts of it's made here.
Parts
Some
of it's
it's
are made in
Montreal and Europe. You know, they have EA has people everywhere. So where is the line drawn? And it's like, how fair is it to have like we'll just say Battlefield, because let's say we have Battlefield and it's $60, but Final Fantasy VII being like $70. How does that make any sense?
It's just because it's from Japan,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just a little ridiculous.
And the people will think twice about spending money on $70.
Right. Not only that, but the companies will think twice.
60.
Right. Yeah, right. But the companies themselves will think twice, because then, like, is it worth localizing Persona 5 and making the characters speak English, getting English-speaking people, getting them to localize it to whatever. Yeah. Is it worth it to do it for America when you get charged more for certification? Probably not.
Yeah.
And that's an issue, because I mean, I enjoy my diversity in anime / Americanized gaming. I mean, I like to go from something that's made in America and then switch over to something that is completely just culturized in different aspects. I like that.
I mean, Ubisoft, for instance, they have a lot of places in France. I think they're from France. So
I
thought it would have been Canada.
Maybe.
There might be France, though.
Either way, Frenchies. Yeah. Oh, bonjour. Hey.
I don't know if they're Indian now, too, but they could be. Oh. Would you like some bacon, Harry?
That's
we don't eat pig.
The dog race, so to speak. Sorry to get so political on you. But I mean, that's pretty much it for that conversation. I mean, we all have our different backgrounds in video gamings, and I mean, I think that's what makes this group so interesting, is that even though you only like not only, but you mainly like RPGs, you mainly like this. I mean, I like having the difference of opinions and everything, and obviously we want to know your opinion. We want to know, what was your first console? What was the first game that really got you addicted? Obviously everybody played Mario, but what was that first game that got you super addicted? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on the Deadly Operative Grunt show. Make sure to check out, in February we're going to be starting our top 10s. I'm hyping it up for a reason. You want to see it. It's going to be super awesome. So check that out. Make sure to like us on Facebook and YouTube at the Deadly Operative Grunts, or on Twitter at Deadly Op Grunts. And I think that's it. Yeah.
I think we covered it all.
This is the Deadly Operative Grunts, and we're feeling squirrely. Yeah.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
Triple threat.